Hey everyone, Iron Monk here, and today I'm going to talk about my final thoughts of Windwalker Monk going into Shadowlands. So Shadowlands is it's about a day away right now, and I get asked by a lot of people, how's Windwalker Monk going to be in Shadowlands? Are they viable? I'm thinking about rolling Rogue, or I'm on the fence about Monk. So in this video, I'm gonna go through of kind of what I think right now about Windwalker Monk. So let's go over some good things about Windwalker Monk and what happened in pre-patch. So in pre-patch we got a few buffs. One of the buffs that we got was a 5% damage buff to all abilities, which was nice. The other buff we got was a fix to Zwen, our Invoke White Tiger. Basically, before he didn't scale with haste, and now he scales with haste. So the more haste you have, the more damage he does. It also scales with crit and versatility as well, but he does not scale with mastery. Hopefully in the future we could see that implemented, and he scales with all stats. Windwalker Monk does pretty good damage right now. It does actually really good damage. I think that it's pretty underrated the amount of damage it could output. It also brings a 5% physical damage buff to the entire group. And Windwalker Monk still has really good utility. You still have leg sweep, you still have ring of peace, you have good defensives. You actually got an additional defensive in fortifying brew. Windwalker Monk does okay single target. It does decent single target, but it really shines in AoE cleave situations. So right now I think Windwalker Monk's in a good place damage wise right now. It's not the best single target class, but I think it's one of the strongest AoE cleave classes in the game currently. I think Windwalker Monk will still be very, very viable damage wise in M plus, and I think they'll still be decent in raid. Some of the bad things about Windwalker Monk now, like I said, not the highest single target damage in raid, and that's unfortunate because currently right now Castle Nathria, it looks like about half the fights are almost purely single target fights, but we do enough single target damage in raid that we won't be. I don't think Windwalker Monk should not be brought just because of single target damage. We're not. I keep saying single target damage, but by no means do I mean that we're super low bottom tier single target damage. The other part about Windwalker Monk when you're thinking about rolling one or leveling one during Shadowlands is that you gotta look at your raid composition. There's only a very limited amount of melee spots usually in any given raid. So usually the melee who could bring utility or the melee that gets brought, let's say Demon Hunter, because they have darkness and they bring that 5% magical debuff. Unfortunately now for Windwalker, Brewmaster is really strong right now, so you could either bring a Brewmaster or a Mistweaver and also get that 5% physical damage buff for the raid. The other thing that's holding you back now in terms of Mythic Plus and raid would be community perception of Windwalker, and that's the biggest hurdle of Windwalker Monk, is that people in the WoW community look at Windwalker as like a meme. I'm not saying that it's to the level of like a Feral Druid. Obviously, they have it worse right now than or Survival Hunter. They have it worse than Windwalker Monk, but in general, the perception of Windwalker in the community is Windwalker is kind of a meme. And you don't understand how many groups I get into in Mythic Plus where they say, oh yeah, I haven't seen a Windwalker in a long time, what can they do? Or I'll just get straight up declined from groups because they're unsure, or they just have this perception in their mind that Windwalker is just inherently bad class, which is not really true. But I will maybe in raid it maybe a different story, because if you look at the statistics from BFA, Windwalker Monk was actually never once above the average, according to Warcraft logs, in any raid tier. It was always a below average class in BFA. So those are the kind of bad things about Windwalker. So I guess to end this video, I just want to kind of make it short just to get the information of my thoughts out there. Windwalker Monk, I think, is going to be very good in Shadowlands. Usually Windwalker is the strongest at the beginning of an expansion, that being because Windwalker Monk historically scales really poorly with stats, and other classes just overtake it as the expansion goes on. One of the good things about Windwalker in Shadowlands, or just Shadowlands in general, is that there's diminishing returns in stats. So I think it's above 30% stats of one stat. You'll start getting, the more of that stat you get, the less beneficial it will be to that person. So as they nerf stat scaling, I think that helps Windwalker Monks out tremendously. And that will help us stay viable for longer in an expansion rather than just the beginning of one. But I think right now Windwalker is in a strong place. When I look at logs from some of the raid logs from raid testing from some guilds, Windwalker Monk is not doing bad by any means. Like I said, the worst part about Windwalker Monk is going to be that community perception and also being a melee class. But I think on the other side of that, it is kind of cool to play a class where nobody expects you to do really well, and then you come out and do really well and you surprise somebody. I think that's some of the most fun parts about playing Windwalker. It's also one of the most challenging parts, but I do enjoy when I get into a group and they're like, wow, I didn't know a Windwalker can do that, and then you kind of change people's minds. But yeah, I will be maining Windwalker in Shadowlands, and I just wanted to put this video out there to give everyone kind of my thoughts on how I think Windwalker will do. I think it's going to be just fine. And I hope to see some of you guys picking up the class and play, because it is one of the most fun classes out there. It's super fluid. It's super fun to play. You get to go around punching stuff and doing all sorts of karate moves to things. It's actually pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, if you're on the fence about it, I'd say pick it up, give it a shot. If you want to come hang out with me, you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/IronMonkTyson. I'll leave a link in the description below. I'm always down to chat it up about Windwalker Monks or whatnot. Come by and say hello. All right, I'll see you guys in Shadowlands. Hopefully he pulls a lot. Yeah, that's what I like to see. Big damage. I'm blasting boys, dude.